It feels great to be back in game week, even though this season started 8 months ago for us. During the FBS championship was the first time I had a chance to talk to our returning players and the 11 mid-year enrollees that we had come back on campus. I promised our club that as a staff we would do everything possible over the next 8 months to help them become successful as student athletes. I also challenged them to give the program every single bit of mental and physical toughness daily, which is where we started the work the body. Since that moment, we've added very talented recruits. We added very knowledgeable coaches who are also great men. We shifted our spring practice up by a month so that we can install the changes of our offense, defense, and special teams and give our kids the best opportunity to perfect those installations. Over the next few months, we implemented a mandatory breakfast meal that we saw huge gains from. We really took on the mentality of science over tradition. This has helped us improve our overall team speed and strength. Thanks to our wonderful fans, the Pirate Club, and the loyal Pirate Nation, we were able to walk into a new facility at training camp. And that was very important. We opened up our locker room, we opened up a new training room, a new equipment room, but the training room has probably been the most beneficial for our program. We have had our healthiest team on the football field this fall. We've seen very, very minor injuries, hadn't seen very many season-ending injuries. We do have one to talk about. However, we have had very few soft tissue injuries, which is directly connected to our guys' ability to go into the training room and get all the treatment that they deserve and that they need. That's been very critical for us. We have since then gone out into a training camp where we had a very successful training camp at the quarterback position, successful training camp at our offensive team, defensive team, and special teams. We've been really, really pleased with all of that. And all that combined, it feels really good to say here at ECU that we have put the student athlete first, which is some of the places that we have struggled in the past. I'm really, really happy with where our team is right now. We are coming off of the most successful training camp that we've had since I've been here, not only from a health standpoint, but the way that we're playing on the field. We are on a pursuit of excellence for this football program. I think that we've checked a lot of the boxes for our program. All the things that I talked about was the things that we talked about with our staff going into February, and we needed to check each one of these boxes. And until we checked those boxes, we could not move on. Well, we've checked a lot of the boxes that I've talked about today, and there's one final box that we have to check as a football program, and that's our team performance on the football field. So we're really driven for this season for these young men, and we also have to realize that there's going to be ups and downs with every season that you have, but now we're just a little bit more equipped to be able to handle it. Talking and moving into handling different things, we have a big-time game on our hands, a great football program. Sam Washington has done a fantastic job of continuing the culture of football at North Carolina A&T. There's one thing that I will say about this football program. I have looked at a lot of teams. I have watched a lot of teams a long time coaching football, playing football. Their culture of playing hard rivals anybody's that I've ever seen on tape. Defensively, they are a fantastic football team that run to the football. They play great base defense, and Coach Washington is one of the best football minds in the country, bar none. He is in a situation where he has a belief system. It shows up. He believes in stopping the run, and that's exactly what they do. And when they have the talent that they have at the defensive end position with Darrell Johnson, and then at the corner position with Mack, it's one of those situations to where they stop the run and they're very good in pass defense as well. They can do it all. Offensively, they're led by Coach Barnett, who has a long history in our state with he and his brother being fantastic people, players, and now coaches. He's a coordinator that understands exactly what coach wants to do, and they do it well. They're led on offense by a fantastic player at quarterback. Lamar is one of the best players that we've ever had to open a season with, and a lot of times you get to play with. You don't get to see too many times where the returning conference player of the year is the first guy that you're opening with. They're really talented. They're one of the only teams that you played at return starting quarterback, a starting running back, and a starting receiver with big numbers. So we're challenged there on defense. And then the last piece of the puzzle for them is their special teams unit. That was a very, very critical point in them winning the football game. So all in all, we're looking at a completely well-rounded football team that are extremely talented, well coached, and they complete the trifecta by playing as hard as anybody that I've seen play on tape.
Coach, is it an advantage for you that they have already played a game and you have film, or is it an advantage for them having already played a game?
I think it's, half empty, half full. I think the pros and cons of both of them are pretty simple. The simple way to look at it is the way that we have to look at it right now is that A&T has got all the pregame jitters out. They've gone through game week. They understand what it's like to get off the bus ready to play. They played in a game. They have had to deal with the conditioning that happens in games. But they've also, the flip side of it is that, we don't know where their health level is after that first game. There may have been things that happened in that game that we don't know. We haven't had to go through that yet. And for us, we have to worry about the pregame jitters. We have to worry about all those things. But we have had a lot of changes on offense, on defense, and special teams, which no one has seen until this point in time, besides our kids, our coaches, and some of our fans. So there's been some things that have changed that no one knows about, but there's also some things that they've been through that we know about that can benefit, or if you will, show us what they're going to do in certain things. But there's a certain group of the people that believe that the biggest jump happens between week 1 and week 2. I don't necessarily believe all of that. I feel like the biggest jump happens between January and August, and that's what we're concentrating on right now. So we're really trying to make sure that we're focused and ready for the football team.
Scottie, what did you think of their performance Saturday night on the field?
I thought if you turn on the tape and watch what they do, like I said, they're the hardest playing football team that we saw. When we came back in here and looked at it on tape, offensively, they just had a few near misses on offense to just really having a great day. A couple of things that it's hard for the eye to see on the TV copy. We saw that there was just a few little mental errors here and there, and they could have had a big-time explosive day. The other thing I thought about their performance is, boy, they stopped the run. It was really, really hard for Jacksonville State to create any kind of momentum in the game with running the football. And then you looked out at the defensive secondary at A&T, and they were challenging every single receiver that they had. So they really made it a rough grind, just a grinded-out game. And I know exactly where it's coming from with that. So I thought their overall performance was really actually pretty good when you watch it on the TV copy. They're a team, of course, is going to get a lot better, but I thought they picked up right where they left off. They're going to be a hard team to beat for us. They're going to be a hard team to beat for a lot of opponents this year. They have their culture intact.
With you at the running back, the rise of Anthony Scott and Trace Christian, obviously, them starting and being prominent roles. Talk about what went into that and how that's kind of played out this preseason. Pure
performance. Nothing else. We told them, way back in January and February, we want to make it about performance, about taking care of the football, about who can have the most impact plays, the most X plays, and that doesn't necessarily mean with the ball in your hand. That means down the field blocking. That means everything all encompassed. So at the end of the day, it's a situation where we're basing it off of performance. That could change. Where we are right now is that Anthony Scott is at the #1 position. Trace Christian came along hard at the #2 position, but we hopefully we can get a lot of people carries in this football game.
There must have been advantages with Coach Blackwell being with Jacksonville State last year in this game when you look at everything.
Well, defensive, I studied Coach Blackwell for a year or so, of course. So it was one of those situations that where now we have basically 2 years of information on what Jacksonville State is doing in the building against the team that we're playing against. So a lot of the schemes that we saw in that game are very similar to some of the schemes that we have, with the addition, of course, a couple of different things that we've done to put a twist on our defense. So we know how they can attack us in different situations, and we also know that there was a few near misses for A&T that we better pay close attention to, that they can be a lot better at. But having them in the building, of course, and seeing that same opponent, it gives us a good little ability, or a small advantage, if you will, to know how they're going to try to attack us this weekend.
Coach, a couple true freshmen at tight end.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about their progression and also Norris's injury?
Yeah, it's very unfortunate that Ben Norris will be out. More than likely, he is out for the season and out for his career. We've went into a situation to where I listen to a lot of people talk about where we are in the world of concussions, and it means a lot to me. He is in a situation where he's had multiple concussions, and he was also in a situation where he had worked to number 1 in the depth chart 2 weeks ago, and with the medical advice that we have here at ECU, and with my belief in putting the student athlete first, he's in a situation where he is not going to play football at this moment and at this time, we think, with where he is. Very unfortunate, but at the end of the day, we're really, really concerned about making sure we make the correct decisions, and not the ones that make us all feel good, but the correct decisions for the student athlete 30 years from now, 40 years from now, 50 years from now. So we're really, really sad about that. He has been all in. He gained a lot of strength and muscle, and just was doing really well in camp. And he was battling Bogle for the tight end position there pretty hard, and Bogle did a good job of battling, and he ended up winning it. And then all of a sudden, we tried D'Angelo McKinney, and I just came into the defense, and they were all upset with me because I got one of their biggest, fastest athletes. I saw him, but he was also buried a little bit behind some of the defensive players that we have. Because of him being buried, I wanted to see what he could do at tight end. And then we put him over at tight end in the run period, and they're never getting a chance to see him again because of how physical he is, how big he is. He's 6'5" or so, maybe bigger, 261, 262 pounds at tight end. And then we had to move into the practice portion where it was RVAs, routes versus air. And I had no idea he could catch it. I just wanted to bring him over there, see if we could leak him out in the flat. Now he's running curl routes, he can catch dig routes, he's catching everything. So we kind of lucked into D'Angelo McKinney. You don't get 6'5", 260-pound tight ends. He came to our camp a couple years ago now, and he won the fastest man, big man contest. And I didn't put it all together, but after about a week into camp, we put it together. So now we're looking at both him and Bogle as kind of the starters there. We'll find out who runs out first depending on what we do.
Coach, you've been through a couple of seasons here now at ECU and gone into season openers. So you know how, when you get into game week for that first week, how the kind of attitude and everything changes. Have you seen that in your players yet, or do you expect that in the first practice?
I mean, our attitude changed last February when we went out and we started this mission. These guys are hungry. A lot of them haven't had to experience some of the things that we've experienced. I keep reminding our staff that there's a good portion of our staff that don't understand what we started, and there's also a good portion of our team that doesn't understand what we started. But that's why we lean on Garrett McGinn and him having a very passionate speech to the team on last week on where we were and where we are now with the things that we've been able to do on the field. We've got a lot more talent on the field, but the attention to detail and the sense of urgency, we're at a really, really good point with our football team right now. People are sharp. We prepared last week like it was a game. We woke up like it was a game. We took the field. We did everything that we could do to make it as much game-like as we could. We split our teams up, and I thought they went out and performed well. We've got a heightened sense of urgency, that's for sure.
When you look at A&T offensively and defensively, what you've seen them on tape and on television, what are the things that are kind of standing out to you that you got to be mindful of when you face them this weekend?
The first thing that we've got to be very, very mindful of is their play at defensive end. Offensively, I'll start on the offensive side of the ball. He is a playmaker. He isn't Daryl Johnson. He is an impact player. In my opinion, he had more of a positive effect for A&T on the outcome of the game than anybody. He created a big-time play down there on the goal line where he got inside the tight end and created a tackle for loss. The last play of the game, really, where he was able to create a turnover by just outworking his opponent. He presents a huge challenge for us. We really got to do a good job of getting him blocked. He is a very, very talented pass rusher. He could be a guy that you see on Sundays doing it for a long time. Really, really impressed with how he plays the game. And then offensively, we've got to be able to maintain this quarterback. He is a talented player. He can run. He can throw it. We've got to get him. We've got to get him contained. And our pass rush, our lanes have to be correct every single time. They're really, really talented at back, so it puts you in a situation where you feel like you have to load the box at certain times. But he's so talented at quarterback that we've got to keep him in the box. Those are the things that we're worried about. And then on special teams, we've got to keep 88. We've got to keep him bottled up. He's fast. He's quick. You go back to last year's game, he made plays offensively. He had a huge impact on this game, taking it back. And I thought the special teams unit for A&T on that particular play, that was as well blocked in a well-coached scheme with guys executing than we've seen. So, and then when you got a guy like him catching it back there in the back, well, they're good. So those are some of the things in each of the areas respectively that we're concerned about.
What are you expecting or hoping from the crowd here from the stadium, season opener? How exciting is that, and what do you think of the potential atmosphere?
Well, there's been a lot of things that have changed, and a lot of growth, and a lot of newness, and a lot of good feelings around where we are right now. I expect Pirate Nation to be Pirate Nation. Now, what we've done is, from that point in January, like I said, is to make sure that when the product goes out on the field, then we've done what we're supposed to do. A lot of the stuff that has happened between January and August came from the help, of course, of Dave Hart, and came from the help of Lee Workman and JJ. They've done a good job helping us to get to where we are. So we're expecting them to show up and show out. This will be a great atmosphere. Of course, A&T is going to bring a lot of fans, and we're gonna show up. Pirate Nation will be great, and our kids will respond to it. It feels really good to be able to start the season. It's fresh. So we're looking forward to a great start of our season and a performance that's excellence. We're hunting excellence in our performance this weekend.
Can you compare your thoughts and feelings from 2 years ago when you first started here at East Carolina as a head coach, and now moving into year 3? What are some of the things you've learned, some of the things that you're thinking about that's different than that very first game?
The first year, I think I was more concerned about covering stuff up, trying to cover up the inadequacies of this position or that position, and it really was trying to figure out the way to maneuver and make things the correct way. And now is the feeling that I have is I want to really display what we've done versus trying to cover this up or hide this, position. Now we put ourselves in a position where we feel like we're pretty deep in a lot of places. So my thought pattern, I'm a lot more calm than I was then. I'll be a lot more of kind of responding versus reactionary this week in practice. But my thought pattern is that we got to go out, just like I had the same thought pattern then about going out and performing well. I just feel a lot better with where we are and who we are on the football field and on the sideline. We've got to do a good job. I've already told our coaches on making sure that our kids understand that it's student athlete first. We know that, we understand that. We have a better understanding of where our kids were 2 years ago. Sometimes when you come in from different programs and different things and different situations and you all come together, you forget about where the student athletes were right before you got here. And now we have a good understanding of it. So my thought pattern has changed a little bit in some of the ways, being less reactionary and more responding, but we still have the same mind, same goal in mind, and that's going out and having an excellent performance.
How close was the backup quarterback battle between Kingsley and Holton, and how did Kingsley win the number 2 spot?
It was really close. It was one of those situations to where it went 2 weeks into camp before it started to change. And then some of that is that, Holton is in a perfect world. It'd be great to be able to redshirt Holton in a perfect world. With the new rules that we have, we still have the ability to play Holton. And I think that's something that you'll see. I don't know when. I'd like to give you a little bit of my strategy on that, but we're trying to hold it a little bit close to the vest. I think that this is a situation where Kingsley should be really praised on the way that he has came in this offseason and performed. It's not that, Holton didn't perform to a certain level. Holton performed at a really high level. Kingsley performed to the level and that we did not know that he would get to so quickly. We got two guys at that position right now, at the backup position. I feel very confident in both of them being able to go into a game and win a game, and not just operate in the game, but win a game. But at the end of the day, it came to the knowledge of our system, fixing some of the situations that happen on the field, and it's just 1 year of experience over another guy, I think, at this point in time. But we're really looking forward to the future at that position.
Coach, noticed Taj Dean not on the depth chart. What's his status going through?
Oh, he'll be fine. He'll be playing quite a bit. He had a couple of little setbacks in camps here and there, but he's back on board. He'll be fine. You'll see him this week.
Thank you.